Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us today. Welcome to another great session of WE3Live, our Clean Tech Innovation Series. Today's topic, Stanford Sustainable Smart Campus, what utilities and cities can learn. Across the world, communities and people are trying to build systems in society where we need to reverse the tide of catastrophic climate change and economically prosperous to build a more economically prosperous and equitable community, and how we do that industry-wide and with collaboration partners across ecosystems. So today we have the pleasure of being joined by Lincoln Bleveans. He's the Executive Director for Sustainability and Energy Management for Stanford University, and he'll be joined by Deepak Garg, the CEO and founder of Smart Energy Water. We're looking forward to a great conversation. As always, please add your questions to the chat. Also be sure to check the schedule on your left-hand side there to see what we have for you next week. So with that, I'll turn it over to Deepak and Lincoln. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you everybody for joining. Again, more and more exciting for all of us to be in this session. I only can hear that from the team Z Prime, like we are growing like big time. You know, a lot of people are registering. They have a great interest. And I'm more excited today to have Lincoln. I know him personally because of his great industry background of energy and water. But I'm just more excited because of Lincoln and the institute I'm also connected to, Stanford, and where Lincoln is going to be serving his new role. So Lincoln, I know that, you know, we know enough about you, but the audience, bigger audience wants to know a little bit about your role, your current, you know, roles and responsibility. Love to know quickly. And then I have 4 pointer to ask you so that people know a little bit more. We call as a speed round, icebreaker, whatever sort is, you know, love to know.
Sure. Yeah. Again, really excited to be here this morning. I'm coming to you from Stanford's Central Energy Facility, which is a $500 million first of its kind thermal energy facility right on the campus. My background is really quite something. I started out in the energy business more than 25 years ago, doing independent power projects in the emerging market countries, and have done a lot of that, mergers and acquisitions, some private equity, had my own startup for a while. And most recently, as Deepak was alluding to, I spent almost 9 years at Burbank Water and Power, which is a very progressive, vertically integrated municipal utility in serving Burbank, California, both the Warner Brothers and Disney and Nickelodeon and the media capital of the world, but also a very progressive and demanding residential population as well. So I just started with Stanford about 6 weeks ago or so, and am finally up on the campus with my Stanford, standard issue Stanford mask, and really looking forward to talking to folks about it.
Cool, Lincoln. I think now I really feel that, you know, these 4 I think icebreaker question will get a little bit more about you to that audience. So how, just good question, you know, I love this question for everybody. Did the energy find you, or you find the energy?
Energy found me. Energy found me. I have a very unusual background for somebody in the energy industry. I'm not an engineer. I don't have an MBA, but I found this emerging markets power project development back in the heyday of the mid 1990s, and really fell in love with it. And full disclosure, I got into the industry never having knowingly seen a power plant in my life. But it was just this incredible opportunity back then to do these wonderfully complex, high impact, very large projects in places that I knew pretty well, China, India, Southeast Asia. And then I was over in Central America, South America, North Africa, Middle East, a lot of frequent flyer miles, a lot of jet lag too, which has probably aged me a little bit. But the thing that I love about energy and water and all of these essential utilities is that our world today really simply cannot live without them. And not only cannot live without them, but can't live without reliable, affordable, and now sustainable services, whether it's energy or water or waste services, which is also part of my world here. All of these things, a lot of people understandably take them for granted until they're not there. Maybe we have a storm or what have you, but there's this essential nature to the services, but then also this incredible impact on climate and on sustainability and on the resilience of our economies and societies. So I've kind of found it by accident, but I can't imagine doing anything else for a living.
I love to see that passion, coming already, I can see that starting coming in and this is same thing. We all will be having all these sessions going on, even in our last summits too, And I think that's a very good point. What you said is we take it this most important commodity, in the world for granted, because till the time it's there, we take it for granted. The day it's not there, we all feel it, the big pain, because we cannot live without water. We cannot innovate without power. And I think this become our kind of slogan for W3, as a part of the conversation. And I think this is where the love comes to the utilities and anybody who is serving to the utilities, across the board, globally. And I think you've seen it from very, very near. And I think great kudos to you and broader energy utilities company executive team and the operational team and everybody who served that by serving. And I'm very excited to, because I know as one of our clients, City of Burbank, I see that how progressive, you've been there, and how progressive as a utility they were, and they are actually today. I am just excited to be, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people ask, Deepak, what industry you belong to? I say, we belong to the most important industry, because which is serving everybody on earth, 7.6 billion people. I don't think so anybody can say I'm not a consumer of water and power. They all consume one way or other, So thank you for that, Just this one is another quick one, I love this is, what's something you believe, in all this journey, people think you are crazy, There
are probably a lot of things that people think I'm crazy about. But the one thing that I'm seeing is that we've been focused on reliable and affordable power and a reliable and affordable water and reliability and affordability on all of these essential services that get provided. And I'm seeing increasingly two new metrics that we also have to satisfy. One is resilience. That is, I think, whether it was the experience in Texas very recently or the experience in California over the last couple of summers, the resilience of the system is something that we can't take for granted anymore. First of all, I think we're using these systems in ways that they simply weren't designed for, but we're also using them in ways that are, when I was a kid, charging was something you did with a credit card. That was how we used the word charging. We didn't think about phones and computers and vehicles and the rest of our lives. And that resilience, when you multiply that by climate change, you find a resilience, a need for resilience that I think we're really only starting to understand. I really believe we are on chapter 1 of the resilience book, and it may be a multi-volume book of learning how to be resilient with the combination of this incredible need for utility services, but also this much more volatile world of climate change. And part and parcel with that is and I started to see this in Burbank with our resource planning, is that to be reliable and affordable is not enough. That I think we were starting to make decisions, and certainly thinking about that here at Stanford now, where greenhouse gases are just as important of a metric as price is. And I think we're going to, again, I think we're probably on chapter 1 of a very, very long book in really reorienting our society and our economy to truly account for greenhouse gases. I think that's been on the edge of the conversation globally. It's very rapidly moving to the center of the conversation, but I really feel like we're just figuring out how to do that. And one of the things that's so exciting for me is to see that conversation really moving into the corporate world, where we're seeing, whether it's the big auto manufacturers or the airlines, or really every brand you encounter is really now measuring and accounting for greenhouse gases and sustainability in general. It's not just the activists anymore. It's not just the academics anymore. We're really starting to see the big balance sheets of the world coming together to solve this problem. Again, chapter 1 of a very long book, but I feel like we're finally getting traction across the economy and across society. And that to me is the most hopeful thing.
I think, Lincoln, I cannot be agree more, because we also feel, and I think we've seen a major shift and change, in the people understanding of sustainability in the right sense. As you said, that it used to be a PhD topic, or it used to be academic conversation or industry conversation. It's like the people understand now why sustainability is important, why resilience is important, because what we've seen. And at the top, what we see is when the people understand in the common language and in the common way, their participation is huge. Because as you said, it's a chapter 1 where the governments and corporate world is coming and putting their heads up, and they definitely want to solve this problem. But the common people are also getting into that ecosystem of understanding, and they're participating. I never seen such a huge people watching, the plastic use, and CO2 emission. People talk in the common conversations. There's no more, hey, here's the topic, let's have a conversation and leave the room, and without even take away anything. And I think people are really, and I feel that what's really happened, and I think you are good eyewitness about that, is in the industry, from energy utilities industry standpoint and the private sector standpoint, we start educating our own customer and the people about that, where the power is coming from, why affordability, whoever can afford. We definitely want to control the pricing of it, because it's the most important commodity. But we want to also, same time, want to say that if we are increasing X price, we want to make sure is this is a cleaner, rather than for tomorrow, we are not getting to a bad, energy and feeding you affordable, but not taking care of future of the climate and all. And all these things, energy, water, and climate is all interconnected right now. I think we've seen these last 3 years. I think I witnessed myself in multiple conversations when the power company, water companies, gas companies, and the private sector talking about CO2 emission, sustainability, climate is in a one single forum. And I think it's a great achievement for the world right now. We are not putting these into the silos and talking separately,
Yeah.
What advice you want to give to the young Lincoln? If
Oh,
I go
boy.
back to the future, past,
First of all, I think, the first thing I would tell young Lincoln is stay away from motorcycles.
Love that.
I've got some really interesting scars now, but no, I think when I graduated from college in 1989, it was we were seeing the first personal computers. It was, cell phones were around, but I don't think I'd ever seen one. And what is so interesting to me is that the world has just fundamentally changed in that time, and it keeps changing. I actually see more change in this decade of the 2020s than we've seen in a long time. I'm really excited about that. But when I look backwards, I think about how a lot of what I do for a living now is it just didn't exist back then. I think the word sustainability really didn't exist. In fact, the word, environment and environmental was still really kind of on the fringe of the conversation.
Sure.
The idea of renewable energy was, was very much on the fringe of the conversation. And so when I look back, I think, the advice that I would give to myself would be, be patient, because there are such cool things coming along to do. But at the same time, learn everything you can from everything you do. Because I look back at my career, which has been a really varied kind of, uncertain, back and forth all over the place career. But I've taken something, and I've taken a lot from everything that I've done, even things that don't seem to be related. And I apply those every day in what I do now. And this is something that I'm trying to tell folks who are just entering the job market or early in the job market now, is that the nature of this challenge is one that where it's not just the engineers, it's not just the finance people, it's not just the operations people. We literally need everybody to solve these problems. These are problems that have so many more aspects than they used to, the sustainability aspect, the resilience aspect, just to name a few. But also, to your point, the world is so much more aware of these things. And by being aware of them, they require so much more communication and education and consultation to make things happen and to get the right answers to these very pressing questions. So when I talk to young people who want to get into energy or sustainability, I tell them that whatever skills and experience they're bringing to the table are going to be valuable. We need them around the table. We need a diversity more than ever is strength in this business. Diversity of backgrounds, diversity of perspectives, diversity of expertise.
Sure.
And that's how we solve these what turn out to be massive and absolutely crucial and wonderfully complex problems that we face across energy and water and waste and transportation and literally everything you can think of. So, it was, I think to be a young professional today is to be on the leading edge of, frankly, more change in the next decade than we've seen in the last century. And just the amount of innovation. We're going to look back in 2030 we're going to look at 2020 and say, oh my God, thank goodness we got through that. But I think the rest of the decade is just going to be, an absolute whirlwind of innovation and progress.
No, I think I cannot agree more, Lincoln. To your line that what you just said, I just picked up the one line you said, the learning is very important, and be constant in your journey. Being a student, doesn't matter which job you are, because of the world is changing more faster, more things are coming in. And I think for all of us to be open to ready to learn and solve this complex problem, because as you said, the next decade, 10 years is going to be very complex. Yeah. As we have more people to be added in the world, we are touching already 7.76 billion, and I think the forecast by 2050, we will be around 9.76 billion people, which is around 28% more people than we're talking 2020. They all need water. They need all these natural resources. They all need the power. And you and me know that, and Jason, being from this industry, this infrastructure, what we have, cannot be sustainable and cannot be reliable. We need to do a lot of investments. And at the same time, we need to educate people about the use of these natural, very important resources. And that cannot be happen without engaging them to the medium they try to learn today, try to connect. And that's why we talked about it, doesn't matter, they are running on the mobile apps, they are running on through the text, they are running through the social media. We need to educate them and engage them every side of the world. And there's nothing better than that. And I think I just want to add a little bit, one of my teacher always said that, you need to be a lifetime student. You can't stop learning, because the day you stop learning, very soon you're going to find out you are no more. And I love that, because you are part of one of the leading institute, which is pretty much their core focus is how you educate and empower people with the knowledge. And I think that's the core of this industry also, how you engage and empower, and educate the billions of people about the energy usage, water usage, and the climate, Quickly on this one, what Lincoln wants to put on a billboard so that these 7 billion people can see and learn,
Oh my goodness. Be kind to each other. But that's probably a little too broad. But I really do, when I think about the effort that is going to be required to mitigate climate change, and especially to mitigate climate change in a way that brings everyone along, and not just the people who live in the developed world, but the people who live all around the world, and not just the people who have the means to buy the Nest thermostats and buy the Teslas, but everybody around the world. We have to move to a point where we see ourselves, and I'm not saying anything original here, but we have to see ourselves as a single group of human beings on a finite planet. Because when you think about the moves that we need to make and the shifts that we need to make, ultimately we have to be thinking beyond ourselves, and we have to think about the solutions to these problems, ultimately with an empathy for not just the other people in the world today, but to your point, that other couple of billion people who are going to be around 10 years from now. It's very, very difficult. Human beings, I think, have a very, very difficult time not only thinking about other people broadly, but also thinking about things that, what do we need to do now to make sure that things are better in 25 years or in 50 years or in 100 years. But that's really the challenge that we face. And I think we haven't had too many periods in our history as human beings where we have had to make choices, sometimes very difficult choices, where the benefits really won't be realized for another 100 years. And this is really one of those times. I think I'm hopeful that the COVID experience may have brought us together as a world a little bit, I hope, and maybe thinking about other people and future generations a little bit more, I hope. But that's really where I'm coming from ultimately with that billboard, is this sense of, widen your view a little bit and look a little bit further down the horizon. Because that's to solve all of these problems, whatever topic it is, whatever subset of the problem it is, that's what it's going to take. And I apologize, that was incredibly philosophical, but that's where I'm coming from as I look at these challenges that we face.
Can't be more agree. I think being human is very important, and looking everybody, just like you said, with empathy, with as yourself. Good to think. And I think this COVID definitely made all of us think how one problem can make us such a big impact. And that one problem was, I'm not saying the intensity of that an impact was big, climate is million X bigger than, because there's no answer for that. There's no vaccination. Once the climate goes left to right, we have no control. And I think we cannot play with the nature too much. So I think that's, to your point, I think it's a very important look for today and look for truly a big picture, not a small picture, 5 years from now, 25, 30, 50, because everybody in the future is going to look at us and say, what you did? Why we are in this trouble? Because we didn't do anything, or we did something which really made the situation more worse than what it can be, And I think that's truly is. So I know that, we're going to have a very limited time. One thing I want to just quickly take your intelligence out, the parallels between what you're doing in Stanford Sustainable Smart Campus, and we are hearing from all over the world in the industry, the smart city. What's the parallel between two, and how you are trying to kind of build it up this, and what's the goal for that?
It's really interesting. We talk about trying to make decisions, with a very long-term and ultimately empathetic view. Stanford really sees itself as a living laboratory for that. Not only is the institution itself so focused on innovation and so focused on education. Apparently, the original Google server is like a half a mile from me here. Of course, at Silicon Valley, all of the innovation that's going on all the time. We try to see ourselves as a living lab, and that extends, and it's very much a part of energy and water and waste and transportation and everything, all of these components of this Rubik's Cube of climate. So one of the things that we're trying to do here at Stanford, and this is very similar to what we were trying to do at Burbank Water and Power too, was really show the world what can be done. Not, going beyond the laboratory and going beyond the experimental stage, but actually investing in the leading edge, infrastructure, and making it work from an operational standpoint, making it work from an economic standpoint, of course, from an environmental standpoint, and literally welcoming the world in to understand what we're doing. And please copy us. The plant that I'm sitting in right now, which is this central, we call it the Central Energy Facility, very creative name, but it's a $500 million thermal plant that we're actually currently doubling the capacity of. It went commercial in 2015, and it basically is cold water and hot water for almost the entire campus. We had a cogeneration facility before that had reached the end of its life, and my predecessors got very, very creative about thinking very organically about the needs of the campus, the needs of the hospitals, the needs of the researchers, the needs of the undergraduate institutions, the graduate institutions, and this whole incredible campus that we live on. And saying, okay, how do we serve that need in the most sustainable and economical way possible? And what they came up with, and again, I take zero credit for this because these are all my brilliant predecessors who made these decisions. What we came up with was a thermal plant. We went from cogeneration and steam to a much less energy intensive hot water, chilled water system. And to the point where not only are we running it entirely on electricity as opposed to natural gas, and we have some solar farms not too far away in the desert that run those. Pretty soon we'll be at 100% renewable energy running those. But also what they found was that there were parts of the campus that were taking in cold water and producing hot water, and parts of the campus that were, producing cold water and needed hot water. And so a big part of what we're doing here is actually just trading those. And so instead of taking the hot stuff and cooling it down, while at the same time taking the cold stuff and heating it up, we're just doing the transfer and sending it back out. And again, I think we're, until our last PPA comes online next year for solar, we're at about 2/3, a little more than 2/3 renewable energy driving that. But as of next year, we'll be 100% greenhouse gas free in driving that. We are exposed to public safety power shutoffs, and we're working on solutions to make ourselves more resilient to that. But we've had groups from Europe and Northern Europe, district energy like that. District thermal is very popular. We've had groups, very big groups from China. And if you've ever been to a city in China, it's really a district heating system with a city on top of it, pipes everywhere. And so what we're trying to do, whether it's cities or whether it's universities or other places, we're trying to show the world, hey, this is possible. Come see it. We're not just going to talk about it. We're not just going to theorize about it. We're literally doing it 24/7, and we're doing it economically, and we're doing it reliably, and we're doing it sustainably. So that's just one example of a whole lot of things that we're doing here on kind of a, come see, copy us, sort of basis. And that's just incredibly exciting.
I think, Lincoln, I think that's correlate to, I think, what we all discuss about that, educating, about those experiments or reality, and commercializing, and showing the benefit, and empowering people with, doesn't matter they are the industry people or they are the common people, this can be done. And I love that word, you're saying, please learn from us, copy us, because we want more sustainable world, we want more cleaner world, and we are doing everything to make sure that happen, One thing I know we are running already over time. Last question I will ask you. There's a big announcement happened from Stanford for the new School of Climate and Sustainability,
Yeah.
How you think that further advance the sustainability effort within the Stanford and beyond, how the other people can learn, and all. What's the overarching goal for that?
I honestly, I can give you the general, I know they're still in the process of making decisions around the school.
Sure.
But it's a very, very big effort. Again, an opportunity for Stanford to really walk the walk on sustainability and take the extraordinary engineering and science horsepower and humanities horsepower here at Stanford and try to bring them together around this new discipline. So I'm incredibly excited about it. I think that it'll be very interesting to see how it comes together, whether it is its own thing or whether there are people in the engineering department who are attached to it and people in physics who are attached to it or what have you. I don't know those details, and I think a lot of those are still getting worked out, but it's incredibly exciting for me, mostly for the generation that's coming into undergraduate and graduate, because they can finally look at sustainability and look at climate from an integrated perspective, and not only to study it on an integrated basis, but then to innovate on an integrated basis. Stanford is really, really good at that. You look at our engineering area in the university and the science area and the medical, not only the hospitals, but the medical school, and they're all right next to each other. And there's actually, it's closed because of COVID, but there's actually a pub basically at the confluence of engineering and science and medicine, and a big cafeteria and great cafeteria and everything else. But the idea is it's great to do these things on their own, but we got to bring these together. And that's kind of the Stanford way of doing things. And that's what makes me so excited about the School of Climate and Sustainability, because that it's going to be the same thing, no matter how, I hope we have that pub at the center of things, because that's the Stanford way, is to bring all of these things together and get people talking and get people working together. And, the sky is really the limit in terms of what we can achieve.
No, Lincoln, I cannot more excited, to know that Stanford really made that announcement. You rightly said, and it's close to my heart because of one of my college too. I spent a good time, and I love the energy out there. It's like truly, and I think to your point, with that kind of commitment from the university like Stanford, and college like Stanford, will only invoke the same. I think it's kind of look like we are repeating that, educating people about truly what they can innovate, how they can solve climate issues, sustainability issues. No more topic of discussion, on a PhD, but it's to undergrads, to grads, to take it to the next level, because we know that the problems in the future is going to be more complex. So I'm really excited, and thank you. I know we're on the top of the hour, but thank you for your time. It was really, really, really informative, educative, for all of us. And we're looking forward, more discussion with you and the broader team, Jason and the team. If we have any questions, we can pick it up. Otherwise, I think we already 7 minutes up, and thank you, Lincoln, for your time, and keep serving this industry. We love this industry. We love our utilities. We are committed to get this going,
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a real joy to be on today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
We got one question in.
Yeah, one question here. You want to take that, Deepak or Lincoln?
Yeah, for the utilities looking to your university for innovative, sustainable energy solution, how would you recommend they learn more? If the people are looking more, to learn from the university.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have hats off to my sustainability team. We have a really good website that we try to keep up to date, and we try to keep expanding, that has a lot of great information. We also do an annual report on sustainability for the university, which is just full. It's really, really well laid out, but just full of great information. That comes out usually in the fall. So the 2020 version is still very, very current. And then just find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a note. I would love to get help answer the questions, or get you connected to the right people, because there is as you can probably tell, I love talking about this stuff, and my whole team loves talking about this stuff. So and we just love to share ideas, and love to help the world understand what we're doing here, and how it might inform what they're doing too.
Perfect. Thank you, Lincoln. Jason, to you.
Deepak, Lincoln, fascinating conversation. Again, we could have gone on. This is other conversations here. Thank you all of us out there for joining us. This conversation will be up and available within an hour. Please join, check it out, share it, continue to spread the word. We appreciate a great partnership with Smart Energy Water. We appreciate Lincoln and his team at Stanford, what they're doing, for coming on and sharing. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, Deepak.
Take care.